Welcome to the 142nd episode of the Supernatural Occurrence Studies podcast.
So fucking paranormal.
My name is Jason Knight, host of the show, and with me, as always, is
Oscarino Spectre,
producer extraordinaire and podcast co-host. Oscar, did you become Italian there for a minute?
Oscarino Bella Dissimo. That's all I got. No, I'm not Italian.
Listeners, if you would like to skip our wonderful intros, please go to the show notes. There'll be a timestamp there waiting for you to get you right to the topic.
Mm-hmm.
Oscar, I know there is a burning question that our listeners have.
Oh, do they now? How do you know?
I believe so. They want to know, did you wind up watching Love Dump? Now, I know you did because you were texting me as you were watching it.
I mean, I could have lied. No, I didn't. I did. That was real. Yeah.
Yeah. And you're like, Jay, don't watch this. But I want to, before we get into what you experienced, I want to read some of these texts because they were late at night. It started at 12:33 a.m. Central. And they're pretty... These texts are pretty fucking funny. All right. So it was real quick. So you start out of nowhere at 12:33 a.m. You text me, I'm going to live text you Love Dump tonight. Be warned. And I sent back a little sad face. And you said, is that a good thing or a bad thing? Oh man, why am I scared? And then you say, I'll try to be funny and subtle. About to play. And then you send me a picture of the warning screen for this video. And it basically says, hey, if you're under 18 or graphic violence and sex bother you, don't watch it. Right. All models are 21 and older.
Right.
So you send me that. And then you say, main character is a woman named Denise, not a male serial killer. And I say, is she yummy? And you say, no, she seems lesbian-ish and super skinny. And no, it's the other one, Wolfie, another character, I'm assuming. And then you say, spoke too soon, she has a penis.
So it's they or them, probably. Yeah.
Right. Oh, yeah, the pronouns. Then you go, jerking off didn't work, so it's victim hunting time, I think. And you continue, oh, they're getting off to saved blood and skin from previous victims. Damn. And I say, ew. And you go, it's Eo City. I think it's face skin.
Oh, right. Oh, my God. That's right. I know.
And then I go, what the fuck have you gotten yourself into? And you go, I'd be worried only if I get aroused, which I won't. The production is shady as hell. Only street views and inside motels.
Yes.
And enter Apricot. This is Apricot Pitts. She's a porn star who I guess starred in this movie. You go, she's yummy. And Jay, you don't have to respond. Just keeping you updated as I said I would. Basic graphic sex scene. Right now, it is until the violence starts, which I assume is soon. Oh, a knife. They're forcing her to blow them. And I'm failing at being subtle, you said. So this goes on, and then you're like quick cuts of gore and blood in between. Oh, that escalated fast. Cut to her being cut to ribbons, and they're playing with the wounds and intestine. Oh my God! I just put a puke emoji, and this goes on and on and on. Fucking hilarious. So, Oscar, what was your experience with Love?
I mean, that pretty much says it all. Yeah, it was. So, did it deliver? I think my answer is yes. Oh. In the insanity, I've never seen that shit before, right? So as far as that goes, pretty good. Like uniqueness and kind of like gore horror, right? Now, is it the problem with this kind of horror movie though? Is that I can't really recommend it unless you're into watching crazy shit, like I am, of course. But like, I can't recommend it because the story, well, is very, very minimal, and since you don't care about any of the characters, you have no connection to any of them, you don't feel anything.
Aha.
It's senseless in that sense, right? And it made me think of this, the fact that they hire this Sam Hell, the writer, director, editor, whatever, he did everything. I think ultimately what he's making is that he is making very, very niche porn.
Niche porn. Okay.
I mean, and if you're, anyone might be wondering, I don't know, and this could be real, something like that. What if these actors are into that kind of fetish also? Like maybe not the whole murdering part, but like the things leading up to it, like some of the cutting, for example, right? Could that be real? No, none of it is, because the special features for at least the other one, because I saw both, had showed the process they did, and like in a fast thing.
Oh, that's interesting.
They showed like a really fast thing. They just put the camera down and they time lapsed it to where like after they got killed, and you see all, like the way that it looks, and like you get up and move all the like they show it to you like, oh yeah, it's definitely all fake. None of it, no scar is real at all. So it's all been faked. It is shady that it all takes place in hotel rooms, because they're clearly doing everything under the gun, under the radar, under the, there's no way they're going to get permission for this probably. So they clearly did and they also did a good job of like, they made sure there's no logo of any hotel or motel there, no like, nothing like that.
No identifying
markers for anything, not even brand name for the duffel bag that's in the movie or any of they keep an eye on all that, because they don't want to remotely. This is like a poor man's way of making a movie, actually. So they don't have to ever do that. Every time you see a movie and you see like a character reading a book in the background, they have to call that book, like the person who owns that book or whatever, things like that, or Coca-Cola in the background. Even if it's just a symbol, you can tell right away. You have to let someone know. You have to be okay with it or something like that. You'd be surprised how many things like that. So yeah.
Yeah. One thing I've noticed a lot of lately in movies and television shows is like laptops. Laptops never have the Dell logo or the Apple or anything like that. It's always like taped over or something. You can see that right in the.
Oh, yeah. Well, you see the. Do they tape it over on the Apple actual logo in the middle?
Yeah.
Oh wow.
Yeah, or there'll be a sticker conveniently placed over that logo area.
Okay. Yeah, I can see that. I can see that for sure. Yeah, there's a lot of that in there, so they're careful about that. The horror is pretty. I mean, it's very brutal. It's very like it's cannibal Holocaust level of brutality. Just like seemingly senseless. But where Cannibal Holocaust has different motivations, this one's sexual. So like, not only does it add that in it, but like, it's doing it. It kind of makes you feel kind of, this is the good thing about the movie. It makes you feel kind of like, well, maybe Jeffrey Dahmer or someone like that could have felt while murdering the way he did. You know what I'm saying?
Wow.
Doing it as a compulsion, doing it to savor it. There's some savoring moments in the movie. There's absolutely no, non-diegetic sound. So like, there's no, there's very little like sound from the room. It's all very ambient noise and just visuals. So it's very nearly like a music video or like a tone horror poem, So it's very weird that way. It's very artsy that way. I don't know why they didn't include sound. Maybe it could be another rights thing, but both movies didn't have that. They had some screams, but like they were warped screams. They weren't like in the moment screams, So like you didn't see her like screaming for help. You didn't see her. I mean, you didn't hear. You saw it. You didn't hear any of it.
Interesting.
Very weird. But again, the brutality of it and stuff like that, I can see how a Dahmer type, a Gacy type could like maybe this is like how they do it when you add the sexual component to some of these murderers, because they have to do it. They're compelled to do it, right? They get off on doing it. This is similar. It feels like it will be similar. So that's a positive side. But otherwise, like I said, there's no story. You feel nothing. I felt nothing for any of the characters.
Wow.
Because, that's what horror is like. You're supposed to give a shit so that way you put yourself in their shoes and then it feels horrifying. But
absolutely
nothing like that. Nothing remotely like that. So, because it's barely a story. So yeah. So, but they do crazy things. They're fucking like a pig's head in the movie, and they're like using entrails to play with genitals, and they do a lot of crazy shit. And that's probably the most graphic I'll get to. But like, yeah, They do all that shit, man.
Damn, dude.
In the movie. Mm-hmm.
I feel like I need to be just doused in holy water after just hearing that. The pigs, the pig-headed. And
no,
my God.
well, after I saw it, terrible. I was like, huh, I'm hungry.
Huh.
Huh. I'm hungry.
Huh. Weird. Moving on. I mean, you look the same. You don't look like you were transformed by this movie. Or
no, well, I didn't expect that either. I just wanted to see. I mean, and this is part of my horror movie renaissance I mentioned. Not renaissance, but whatever. And you kind of went a little bit through that too. You saw a movie I sent you called Martyrs.
Oh yeah, Martyrs was crazy.
You liked it?
I did like it.
Right?
Yeah. The idea where you gain heightened spiritual experience through torture. Think of like the Joan of Arc character, right, or some other historical figure who was tortured and then martyred and sent up to heaven. Yeah, in that vein, end sequence is just completely shocking. Yeah. It was good, and there was a story, right? You got brought into the story. You cared for the characters.
Yeah, for sure.
You suffered with the characters as they were suffering. Mm-hmm. Good writing. Topped with just extreme.
I also rewatched that movie.
Violence.
I'm not done with it, but I started rewatching it. I'm at the part where she finally found what's in the basement for real. I'm like, shit. I'm like, I remember that. It's coming back to me as I watch it because I've only seen it like. I might have seen it twice the year it came out, and then I haven't seen it since. So, it's a fun movie. It
is. And I wound up watching the original French version because I guess there was an American version put out, and then there was a remake put out as well. Haven't seen the remake. I heard it was terrible. I went for the straight original French.
Wow.
It was great. It was great.
I did not know that.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
So you made it through Love Dump. We got a little description out there. Hopefully the listeners are satisfied. What else do you got? You are twirling something there. We're on video.
Oh, did you want me to?
What is that?
So, long story short, I guess there was I have some family that were here visiting they visited for a month, or they left already from Mexico. And one of them is my cousin who's like 26 or so. So she's youngin', but old enough to want to go out and explore stuff and in the new world. Right. So we took her to the Ren Fair, which is my first time going to the Renaissance Fair, which is right by somewhere close by that we go to, in Wisconsin, southern Wisconsin. And, anyway, we went there. And it was an impromptu thing. Never been there before. Always wanted to go. Saw a couple shows. It was a fun time. Did a lot of walking. I wish I had like more disposable money so I can buy some cool shed. But one thing that I was there for, I was like, guys, I need to go because I need to get something that I've been sorely lacking in my life. And it took me almost the entire day to find the one little shop that had it. And it was a horn of ale.
A drinking horn.
A drinking horn of ale.
Like a fucking Viking. I love it. I have one. You're now part of the club.
Yes, that's exactly why I was so jealous last year, whenever that was. I saw you toting one on your belt or whatever. And I was like, that is needed in my life. That's what I said.
I drink mead out of it all the time.
Yeah, I drink mead out of regular stupid glass. I want to drink it out of a horn.
Yes.
Yes. Like after a victory. So I found it, and it was great that I found it. And besides that, the only other thing I bought there, because we didn't eat food there, we were like, we're not going to spend the money for that. So we'll eat after, right? I bought a scone mix. So immediately all of my male energy went away after I bought the scone mix.
You can't be a Viking and cook scones at the same time. I think
it seems like an oxymoron, but there I am buying scone while I'm holding the ale. So I never made scones before. I never baked in them. So I'm gonna make them soon.
Nice.
I saw this cool lavender scone thing they had. I'll try that out. I'll try it. Yeah, it was a fun time. So I got the horn of ale. Besides that, a couple things here. Sorry, that might be a little longer than usual. Just a lot of stuff has been happening. Over the last few weeks, maybe longer, maybe a month, Lexi and I have had more experiences in the apartment. We mentioned this when we moved in last year. That this place, she mentioned it more than I did, of course, but obviously I also agree with her that this apartment of mine in the Chicago area is haunted, and it's haunted not by a malicious thing or anything like that. It's just there, like anytime one of us are alone here for too long, or even alone in a room, right? That's even if other people are outside. We feel something or we sense something. She does certainly more than I do. Cut to this last weekend or this last week or so or two, we've had some experiences. I've seen it myself where I was in the bath. For example, there's two that I have that are like me not looking at the ghost, mind you. I'm looking at whatever they're affecting. Two experiences. One of them, I was in the bathroom and I was shaving. Okay. And the door was closed, right? I usually keep it closed. And it was just normally closed. And then I was shaving and then the door opened by itself.
Ooh.
And I thought it was maybe Lexi to maybe want to use the bathroom, realized I was in there, and then didn't follow through on it. So I called her out. And I'm like, hey, and she's like, what? And I look out and she's in the middle of a game. She wasn't. It wasn't her that opened the door. And I'm like, did you just fucking open the door and run back to the, like, no. I'm like, the door fucking opened. And she's like,
was the door completely shut?
No. So it wasn't like, we don't have the best doorknob on the planet. So for the bathroom anyway. So in order to shut it for real, you have to actually lock it. Right.
Oh, okay.
So but it doesn't open. There's no incline like that. It never does that. It doesn't creak open ever without you doing it in my entire year here. So maybe there's a give and take there. We had the AC on, so there's no windows open, so no gust of wind before. I'm thinking of all the Dave Black things that he would say to this, to be logical. The no gust of wind, things like that. It was, as far as I know, I don't think any perspiration from the water, and I don't think any of that could have done it because it's never done it before.
Right.
Because I never locked the thing. We just close it. We just close it and take a shower or shit or whatever. So yeah, it just opened, and I thought it was Lexi, and I thought it was a very common thing. And I look out there, she's nowhere near doesn't look like she just got up. She's playing, and she's in the middle of a game or something. So, yep, that happened. And that
spooky.
The door thing happened again with my bedroom door while I was sitting. I wasn't sitting in it. I wasn't in the bedroom. I was in the opposite of that, in the living room, because it connects to the living room. I saw the fucking thing open halfway, and there was no one in the room.
Wow.
And then Lexi has had some of that way more than I have, but yeah.
I love how she's like, told you.
Yeah.
Set up some cameras, man. Some blink cameras and throw them in there.
Yeah, I guess so, yeah. But yeah, that's really the extent of it. I haven't felt anything really. Sometimes I get like a little twinge or something, but not much. And I definitely don't feel threatened by any of it.
Well, definitely keep us posted on anything else that might happen.
Yeah. So, yeah, I want to bring that up for sure because this is what we do. And yeah, I mean, I'm sure Lex will say more, but I have one more that I don't know if I should bring up now, but I'm going to do it anyway because I just said I wasn't going to. It is a news item, Jay.
Oh.
Do you remember? Oh, wait, was this a bonus episode? Love Has Won?
Love Has Won. No, that was regular feed.
That was regular feed, right? Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, good. So if you guys remember, I don't know what episode number. I apologize for this. I did an episode. Well, we did our first cult, essentially. And then you did a cult or two, right? You did NXIVM
for Patreon, yeah.
Oh, that was for Patreon. Okay, that's what the Patreon thing is. That's right. Okay, I forget exactly what we did. But this year, I did a cult episode where we covered this modern cult called Love Has Won. And basically, it was like a teardown of them and showing how shitty they are, the mental fucking bullshit they were going through, their leader being a fuck, like that.
God, yeah.
So here's a headline for you. This was over a month ago now, by the way. I forgot to mention that on the last show before that. So here I am now, late as fuck. Love Has Won. Families grief at death of mummified cult leader. She died. The cult leader.
She died?
She's dead. a body. It was a Wednesday. It was on a Wednesday. Let me see what. Let me read the 11th of May. It was on a Wednesday night when the sheriff of Saugatuck County in Colorado asked Corporal Stephen Hansen to investigate a report of a death. A body, he was told, had been found in a house in a remote cul-de-sac near Moffett, a mountain-flanked town of about 100 people. And he was disturbed by what he saw. In one of the bedrooms, a shrine had been made out of what Mr. Hansen described as the mummified remains of what appeared to be a woman. Placed on the bed, the woman's body was cocooned in a sleeping bag adorned with Christmas lights, with glitter makeup around her eyes.
Oh, jeez.
The body is believed to be that of Amy Carlson, if you remember the name, the 45-year-old spiritual leader of Love Has Won, a religious group branded as a cult by critics and police. To confirm that, the coroner needs to check dental records. It has been confirmed by then, by the way. While there is no evidence of foul play, 7 suspected members of Love Has Won were arrested at the house and charged with abusing a corpse.
Oh, my God.
Yep. And that's all I'll say, I guess. That's it. I mean, but I want to say that cult leader that I mentioned in that show, she's dead.
Holy shit. Wow. Thank you for the update. I had no idea. Mm-hmm. As soon as we talked about Love Has Won, it completely fell off my radar because, like you said, it was complete bullshit. So I had no idea. Wow. And mummified. God knows how long.
In a sleeping bag with Christmas lights. So I don't know what the Egyptians would think. That's my point.
You got to have the Christmas lights and the glitter makeup.
You gotta.
Oh, good Lord.
You got it.
And was it ever determined if she was actually murdered or was there a cause of death?
Oh, I mean, sorry. It's I don't know if it's in that report, but I did read it and it was like, no, it was like a health thing.
Yeah, because I think I remember from your episode that she was...
Well, she was like she was always complaining about being sick and she was always frail and huddled and hunched. But the videos that I also showed I'm not showed because it's an audio medium, but the clips of the audio from the videos that I saw that I put on the show showed her also being like, not exactly sick, but like very like mean and bullshitty and stuff like that. But like, it seems like she was either, my theory at the time was that she was faking that, to get more sort of like more peace time from the people, so he doesn't have to talk to the actual congregation, or like to make her seem like she's holier by being like she's taking in all the pain from them. Who knows what? Like it seems like a con thing. That was my theory. But still, though, I mean, she had a lot of things. She had a lot of like vices and bad lifestyle and health issues, in general, from living the way she did and being so spiteful and mean that I'm sure it all came back on her.
Wow. So
I can read more if you want me. I can find out a little more exactly how she died, who got arrested. I can find all that out, but I just wanted to mention that she is dead and she died, and that was the news. Yeah.
And that's it.
Yeah. I mean, I also haven't thought about her at all. Lexi sent me that. It's not like I was looking for the fucking thing. And since we did a show, it was recent. It was this year, right? We did that?
Yes, I believe so.
I want to say so. It's already been, man, we do a lot of shows.
We really do.
And so it's pretty recent. And maybe, I don't know if that show will get more hits now because she's dead and new thing, but I don't know. Yep. Just want to bring it up. A little update.
Thank you for the update. Wow. I don't have much news to report, but we, work, but we are going on a vacation. We're going to New Smyrna Beach in Florida here within the next week.
So that's
Florida. Exciting. We do. We love the water. And so that's new. That's exciting for us. Other than that, I'm just going to get into the contact info because we have quite a bit to get through this evening. Mm-hmm. The easiest way to contact the Supernatural Occurrence Studies podcast, of course, is by visiting our website, chicagoghostpodcast.com. From chicagoghostpodcast.com, you can get to all of our social platforms, including Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, Twitter, and of course, Patreon. In case you didn't know, we are on Patreon for just $5 a month. Get access to Patreon-only exclusive audio and video content. This is content that will never appear here on our public feed. Just go to patreon.com/Supernatural Occurrence Studies podcast, or go to this episode show notes, click on the Patreon link. It'll take you right to us. We do have a phone number you can call or text. That's Chicago area code 872-529-0767, 872-529-0767. Leave us a message, send us a text. We'll read them and play them on the show. Oscar, are you choking? You okay?
Yeah, I'm being passive aggressive at you. Look, Emily Post, a person who taught us all the ethics and the ways of manners and etiquette, would not approve of you lying to the public.
Emily Post,
for shame.
Sorry.
For shame.
What was that Game of Thrones? Shame.
Oh,
shame.
Oh my God! I can't believe you brought back that awful thing. It's all coming back now.
And one thing I did want to mention, which we haven't talked about in a while, send us an iTunes review. Give us an iTunes review. iTunes reviews help listeners just like you find our little passion project here, so we could grow our podcast, grow our audience. So what do you say? Help us out. Give us an iTunes review. Oscar, did I pretty much cover it? I covered it quickly. You did.
I apologize for the long intro. There was a lot to cover there.
It was great stuff. Great stuff.
And I held back a lot too. There's a lot more horror movies I watched, but yeah. Anyway,
next episode.
Yeah, next.
Could we take a break?
Yeah, let's do it.
Listeners, welcome back to the show. Well, the lights are turned down low. The ceremonial candle is lit, and the drinks are flowing. Let's start this show. Just a quick note, in case you do want to listen to the Love Has One Cult episode, that's episode 128. All right. So tonight we're going to be covering a document called Preliminary Assessment, Unidentified Aerial Phenomenon. And I'm going to get into the dates and where this come from and why we're here this evening discussing this document. But this is something that Oscar kind of pressured me almost, if you will.
Put a gun to your head on.
Put a gun right to my head. Because we've talked about UFOs before on this main feed, the extraterrestrial extravaganza 3-part episode, for example. We've covered it pretty extensively on our Patreon feed, both in audio and video form, whether it was the Rendlesham Forest incident, whether it was actual video of a possible gray alien located at somebody's home just north of the Illinois border in Wisconsin. And I think there was also one from, I believe, Arizona, where a listener had some video footage of some really strange things in the sky. So this is a topic that we've covered pretty extensively on the podcast. And Oscar's like, why aren't we talking about this report? This report was a big deal. And I got to be honest. I read the report when it first came out. I was looking for something, for a topic, a show. And when I read it the first time, I was reading it through the glasses of someone who didn't expect to read anything of substance within this report. I came in with a bias. I believe that eventually there will be disclosure. The government will come out and say, yes, these things exist. Here we have one. And oh, by the way, these things aren't piloted by humans. I think it's going to happen one day, because I think after doing all this research over the years, there is something out there.
Yeah.
And I think it's coming. I don't think it's going to be in our lifetime, though. So I wasn't expecting much from this report. So I dismissed it. I wasn't going to cover it. But then again, Oscar, you put that gun to my head and said, why aren't we doing this? We should do this. So I went back and I read the report again and again and again. And I took out my biases and I just read it for what it was. And there was some pretty astonishing things within this report. And we're going to get into that because I'm going to read this report word for word.
Okay.
There's some pretty heavy stuff in this report finally being admitted publicly.
Okay.
Okay.
All right.
Is there anything you want to?
No, I'm intrigued. I have not read this report because, well, for one, I did think we were going to cover it, and honestly, I forgot there for a month. But at the same time, I know I kept seeing it on social media. Kids usually, like younger people, I mean, or people our age or some older, talking about like waiting for the next shoe to drop on this, waiting for more. Like none of them were putting it down completely. It felt like it was like a taste of something. They were talking about like it was a taste of something that they wanted more of. And I was like, that's interesting. Again, not having read it at all, I'm like, that's when I bought the gun, put it to your head, and then ask you if you can cover it.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And, again, when I first read it, I missed a lot. I saw a lot of acronyms. I saw a lot of fancy terms. And I just kind of put it aside. I'm like, nothing here, nothing really to discuss.
Right.
Until you pushed me and I read it again and again and again. There is some pretty big stuff here. All right.
Cool.
So like I said, tonight we're going to cover and read line by line something called Preliminary Assessment, Unidentified Aerial Phenomenon, which is a report dated June 25th, 2021, so just a month ago, from the Office of the Director of National Intelligence. So how did we get here? Why are we discussing this? Where did this come from? When former President Donald Trump signed into law the massive $2.3 trillion coronavirus relief package in 2020, it triggered a countdown to a deadline by which the Director of National Intelligence and the Secretary of Defense must provide lawmakers a report on everything they know about UFOs. What? In that relief package, called the Intelligence Authorization Act of Fiscal Year 2021, among the countless, and to me, boring sections and paragraphs that read exactly like how you would expect the Intelligence Authorization Act of Fiscal Year 2021 to read.
Yeah.
Stuffed way down among topics like employee compensation and benefits, improvements to the intelligence community's information technology environment, whistleblower policy, and funds disbursement. There's a section called Committee Comments. And underneath the Committee Comments section, there's a subheading that's titled Advanced Aerial Threats. Wait a minute. Whoa, what is this? I mean, where did this come from, right?
Yeah.
What do we have here? Now this text that I'm going to read, it's interesting. And this is all a quote, all right? This is in that comment section under Advanced Aerial Threats. This is what it says, quote, "The committee supports the efforts of the Unidentified Aerial Phenomenon Task Force at the Office of Naval Intelligence to standardize collection and reporting on unidentified aerial phenomenon, any links they have to adversarial foreign governments, and the threat they pose to U.S. military assets and installations." Oh my God, right?
Yeah.
However, this is continuing the quote. "However, the committee remains concerned that there is no unified, comprehensive process within the federal government for collecting and analyzing intelligence on unidentified aerial phenomena, despite the potential threat. The committee understands that the relevant intelligence may be sensitive. Nevertheless, the committee finds that the information sharing and coordination across the intelligence community has been inconsistent, and this issue has lacked attention from senior leaders. Therefore, the committee directs the DNI, or the Director of National Intelligence, in consultation with the Secretary of Defense and the heads of such other agencies as the Director and Secretary jointly consider relevant, to submit a report within 180 days of the date of enactment of this act to the Congressional Intelligence and Armed Forces Committees on Unidentified Aerial Phenomenon, also known as anomalous aerial vehicles, including observed airborne objects that have not been identified. The committee further directs the report to include 1. A detailed analysis of unidentified aerial phenomena data and intelligence reported, collected, or held by the Office of Naval Intelligence, including data and intelligence reporting held by the Unidentified Aerial Phenomenon Task Force. 2. A detailed analysis of unidentified phenomena data collected by geospatial intelligence, signals intelligence, human intelligence, and measurement and signals intelligence. 3. A detailed analysis of data of the FBI, which was derived from investigations of intrusions of unidentified aerial phenomena data over restricted United States airspace. 4. A detailed description of an interagency process for ensuring timely data collection and centralized analysis of all unidentified aerial phenomena reporting for the federal government, regardless of which service or agency acquired the information. 5. Identification of an official accountable for the process described above. 6. Identification of potential aerospace or other threats posed by the unidentified aerial phenomena to national security, and an assessment of whether this unidentified aerial phenomena activity may be attributed to one or more foreign adversaries. 7. Identification of any incidents or patterns that indicate a potential adversary may have achieved breakthrough aerospace capabilities that could put the United States strategic or conventional forces at risk. 8. Recommendations regarding increased collection of data, enhanced research and development, and additional funding and other resources. And then finally, 9, the report shall be submitted in unclassified form, but may include a classified annex.
Oh.
End quote.
Oh.
Whew. Okay.
A lot of government talk there. Kind of hard to follow a little bit, honestly.
Yeah, so it is a bit. So let's take a step back for a minute and talk about a few things, okay? First, there's the term unidentified aerial phenomenon, or UAP, right? UAP is the new broad catch-all term for UFO. Part of the problem when it comes to members of various governmental groups reporting their experiences with strange objects in the sky is the stigma that comes along with the term unidentified flying object, or UFO, right?
Yeah.
UFO, the term, has too long of a history that's drenched in conspiracy theory and fringe beliefs, little green men. So people are afraid to come forward with their experiences for fear of ridicule or being labeled a kook or maybe losing a promotion. What the report we're going to read refers to as sociocultural stigmas, especially if those people hold prominent or high-profile positions, pilots, military personnel, officers, etc. So to avoid the stigma, UFOs are now UAPs. Although in this episode, I'm going to use the acronyms interchangeably because really they're the same damn thing.
Yeah, they talk about the same thing. It's a rebranding of it. It's like after a crisis or a controversy, a company will change the branding. Similar things, similar vibe to it all.
Yeah, and they're hoping if it's changed, more people will be coming forward. More high-profile people will be coming forward. Now, secondly, if you remember back in our 3-part extraterrestrial extravaganza podcast series.
I like how you say extravaganza every single time.
Gotta do it.
Yeah.
Now, that's episodes 115, 116, and 117, in case you're wondering. In those episodes, we discussed how our government has been studying the UFO phenomenon for decades, albeit in relative secrecy, of course, and under different highly departmentalized programs. We also noted how the U.S. government has a habit of, quote-unquote, disbanding these programs publicly, only to have the programs change names, get buried deeper in the system, but carry on.
We talked about it also with the Skinwalker.
Did we?
Yeah, I remember the ATIP.
Oh, right. Yeah. And yes, exactly.
Right.
Yep.
There was like a weird rebranding. Some people were still in on it. Other people quit. Remember, it was like a weird thing, and they kind of went back to it, but not really. But they canceled it. Yeah,
that's right. The programs don't stop. They change names, and different people and departments are chosen to head them up. The research doesn't stop just because the government tells us it did, in other words.
Yeah.
And in our 3-part series, we cited the most recent example of this government-sponsored UFO research shell game, if you will, which came in December 2017 when the New York Times reported on a secret, although supposedly not classified, UFO research program called ATIP, like you mentioned, Oscar.
Yeah.
Or the Advanced Aerospace Threat Identification Program, which the Pentagon admitted was real and claimed existed from roughly 2007 until it was finally defunded in 2012. Now, again, in those podcast episodes, the UFO Extravaganza podcast episodes, we said, hell, we might have even guaranteed that ATIP didn't go away. It just once again changed names and was buried somewhere.
Yeah.
Shell game, right? Well, as it turns out, it seems we were correct, Oscar.
Nice.
I just read it in the Intelligence Authorization Act of fiscal year 2021 that there is support, and we could assume spending on a new program called the Unidentified Aerial Phenomena Task Force at the Office of Naval Intelligence, whose goal is to put into place strict guidelines and procedures for reporting on and thoroughly analyzing UFO sightings or UAP sightings. The government knows these things exist, and they're finally admitting openly that encounters with UAPs need to be thoroughly investigated using the latest technology, and that information should be shared among departments and organizations to determine whether or not UFOs and UAPs are a threat to national security, and to figure out exactly what they are, where they're coming from, and what their purpose is. It's amazing. And so, on August 4th, 2020, Deputy Secretary of Defense David L. Norquist approved the establishment of the Unidentified Aerial Phenomena Task Force. And the Department of the Navy, under the cognizance of the Office of the Undersecretary of Defense for Intelligence and Security, heads it up. So the Unidentified Aerial Phenomenon Task Force has been running since August of 2020. Although, unfortunately, we know nothing about its procedures, processes, and technology for now. So this is kind of how we got here tonight, where we're about to read an official document called the Preliminary Assessment, Unidentified Aerial Phenomenon. And again, just to recap, the request for the information contained in the document was part of Donald Trump's massive relief package called the Intelligence Authorization Act of fiscal year 2021, which again, when signed, triggered a countdown to a deadline by which the Director of National Intelligence and the Secretary of Defense had to provide lawmakers a report on everything they knew about UFOs, right? The fiscal year 2021 document admitted to the existence of the Unidentified Aerial Phenomenon Task Force. It called for collaboration between governmental departments when examining instances of UFO UAP sightings in restricted airspace, and it admitted that these things are out there, flying around restricted airspace, and that as of right now, there is no explanation as to what these things are or what their intentions might be.
Yeah.
Now, before we get into the actual UFO report, there was one more term used in the fiscal year 2021 document that I think needs a little more explanation. That's the term breakthrough technologies. Now, simply put, breakthrough technologies refers to anything observed in the sky in this instance, which displays characteristics, or in this case, flight and maneuver capabilities that we just do not understand. Capabilities and characteristics that, as far as we know, no known agency has the ability to produce. And we actually have video proof of breakthrough technologies in action. Now, to view some incredibly popular examples of breakthrough technologies, check out the episode show notes in our Extraterrestrial Extravaganza podcast series. Again, episodes 115, 16, and 17. There, you will find links to the Gimbal, Go Fast, and Tic-Tac UFO videos, which the Pentagon has admitted are real unknown objects flying above and around restricted airspace.
Yeah.
All three of which show breakthrough technology in action. So again, those are three popular UFO videos that have been out there in the public for a while. But I'd like to draw your attention to this episode's show notes, where you'll find three relatively new videos showing UFOs or UAPs displaying more breakthrough technologies. And once again, the Pentagon has admitted that these videos I'm about to mention are authentic and unexplainable. Now, the first video you'll see in this episode's show notes was taken on July 15th, 2019, aboard the USS Omaha in California off the San Diego coast. And it released to the public on May 14th, 2021. So just a few months ago.
Wow, yeah.
Now, in the video, a UFO is seen hovering in the air above the ocean, and then it plunges into the ocean near the Navy stealth ship USS Omaha. It's important to note, even though this object seemingly crashed into the ocean, no wreckage was found and no craft was recovered. It's also important to note that the object seems to possess what's called transmedium capability, meaning it could transition or penetrate the air-to-sea barrier at high velocity without destruction. No known human-made craft possesses this capability. And once again, just to reiterate, the Pentagon deemed this video authentic and unexplainable. Check it out. It's pretty unbelievable. Now, the second video you'll find in this episode's show notes is absolutely insane. It's called the Aguadilla, Puerto Rico UFO, and it's video footage taken by a U.S. Customs and Border Patrol aircraft on April 25th, 2013. Now, at around 9:20 p.m. on April 25th, 2013, a U.S. Customs and Border Patrol aircraft spotted on infrared an unknown object flying across the runway and the grounds at Rafael Hernandez Airport in Aguadilla, Puerto Rico. The pilots then watched as the object flew out over the Atlantic Ocean, clocked at about 120 miles per hour, and they were astonished when the object submerged itself into the ocean without disturbing the ocean itself before reappearing again above surface.
Whoa.
It looks fun as hell, actually, when you see it on video. Yeah. But the object actually does this a few times, this transmedium thing, before finally reemerging from the ocean, splitting into two separate objects, and then just disappearing. And here again, we see on video an unbelievable demonstration of this transmedium capability some UFOs and UAPs appear to possess. Breakthrough technology, right?
Yeah.
Now, this footage, this Aguadilla, Puerto Rico footage, is considered by many to be the best UFO footage ever captured and released. And no one to this day has been able to determine exactly what this thing is.
Damn.
Now, the third video you'll find in the show notes, a link, is called simply the Pyramid UFO. Now, this video was taken from the deck of the U.S. warship, the USS Russell, off the coast of San Diego again in California in July 2019. Now, just like the other videos, this one too was deemed to be authentic and unexplainable by the Pentagon. It shows what appears to be a near-perfect pyramid-shaped object floating through the night sky above the USS Russell with no discernible propulsion system.
Wow.
Now, overall, the general belief is that there is technology out there being observed that can outmaneuver our greatest war machines, utilizing propulsion systems that we just do not understand.
Can't even see the evidence of it.
At all.
Right.
Breakthrough technologies. So again, please go to the show notes, check out the videos, and let us know what you think. Contact at chicagoghostpodcast.com. So those are just a few examples of breakthrough technology caught on video.
Yeah.
Strange objects in the sky above restricted airspace caught by highly credible individuals displaying incredible maneuverability and transmedium capabilities, and all with no indication of a propulsion system. Now, while the exact nature of the purported extraterrestrial threats are unknown, former Director of National Intelligence, John Ratcliffe, told Fox News back in March of this year that there are a lot more sightings that the public is not aware of. Ratcliffe said there have been objects observed by U.S. military craft and satellites that have achieved forms of flight that would normally be impossible with any known human technology.
You're kidding. That's cool.
Supposedly, there's even a cockpit photo that hasn't been released yet, taken of a UFO from a mere 50 feet away. I want to see it. Show me the photo, goddammit.
Oh, wow, really?
50 feet away from a cockpit.
They can say that they have it, but not release it?
Apparently so.
Okay. That's just wrong.
I know. So tantalizing. Like, come on. So again, that's how we got to this episode. That's why we're here about to discuss this document. And I think we're in a good spot to begin reading the actual report, the Preliminary Assessment Unidentified Aerial Phenomenon, again, dated June 25th, 2021, from the Office of the Director of National Intelligence. Before I start reading it, go to the show notes. Again, there's a link where you can download this entire document yourself if you would like to read it on your own. Okay?
Okay.
So before I begin this, Oscar, do you have any questions?
I'm absorbing.
Absorbing. Okay, very good.
So I want to, maybe I'll try to keep it to the end. Sure. I want to hear the report for sure.
Sure. So I'm literally going to read this PDF word by word. I may pause here and there just to kind of give you some of my own thoughts, see what you think. But this is all verbatim from the report. So the report, of course, comes from the Office of Director of National Intelligence, as I said, dated June 25th, 2021, and it's called, again, Preliminary Assessment Unidentified Aerial Phenomenon. So as I was going through this, I kind of marked notes and things, just thoughts that came to my head, and I'll signify that I'm reading my own thoughts when I do so.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yeah,
okay.
That makes sense.
Okay.
And also, you won't sound like a government paper either.
Right.
Like your opinions. I mean, yeah.
Right. It's not going to be that sterile kind of language, right? Okay. So the first section is called Scope and Assumptions. The scope of this report. The preliminary report is provided by the Office of the Director of National Intelligence in response to the provision in Senate Report 116-233, accompanying the Intelligence Authorization Act for fiscal year 2021, that the DNI, or Department of National Intelligence, in consultation with the Secretary of Defense, is to submit an intelligence assessment to the threat posed by unidentified aerial phenomenon and the progress the Department of Defense Unidentified Aerial Phenomenon Task Force has made in understanding this threat. This report is an overview for policymakers of the challenges associated with characterizing the potential threat posed by UAP, while also providing a means to develop relevant processes, policies, technologies, and training for the U.S. military and other U.S. government personnel, if and when they encounter UAPs, so as to enhance the intelligence community's ability to understand that threat. The Director, Unidentified Aerial Phenomenon Task Force, is the accountable official for ensuring the timely collection and consolidation of data on UAP. The dataset described in this report is currently limited primarily to U.S. government reporting of incidents occurring from November 2004 to March 2021. Data continues to be collected and analyzed. ODNI, or the Office of the Director of National Intelligence, prepared this report for Congressional Intelligence and Armed Services Committees. This is going to get UAPTF, so Unidentified Aerial Phenomenon Task Force, and the ODNI, National Intelligence Manager for Aviation, drafted this report with input from USD-INS, DIA, FBI, NRO, NGA, NSA, Air Force, Army, Navy, Navy ONI, DARPA, FAA, NOAA, NGA, ODNI-NIM, Engineering and Disruptive Technology. That's one. ODNI-NIM, Emerging and Disruptive Technology.
Oh, wow.
That's one department.
Oh, wow.
ODNI National Counterintelligence and Security Center, and ODNI National Intelligence Council. Here's where I'm going to pause. That is a fuck ton of acronyms. Okay,
Dude, government do love their acronyms, bro.
They do. So I took it a step further and I broke down these acronyms. So this is me. These are my notes.
Right.
You know, for some of them I didn't even know. And we also have foreign listeners and things. So I want to decipher these. So here it goes. USD-INS. This is the Undersecretary of Defense for Intelligence.
Mm-hmm.
The DIA, Defense Intelligence Agency. FBI, Federal Bureau.
That.
Yeah. FBI, Federal Bureau of Investigation. NRO, National Reconnaissance Office, which is part of the DoD, and they build, design, launch, and operate America's intelligence satellites. Okay. NGA, National Geospatial Intelligence Agency, again, part of the DoD, whose primary purpose is collecting, analyzing, and distributing geospatial data to aid warfighters, first responders, policymakers, and intelligence personnel. NSA, of course, National Security Agency. Navy ONI, Navy and the Office of Naval Intelligence. DARPA, the Defense Advanced Research Projects Agency, part of the DoD that develops new technologies for military use.
Mm-hmm.
FAA is the Federal Aviation Administration. NOAA, or NOAA, is the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration, an agency within the U.S. Department of Commerce that focuses on the conditions of the oceans, major waterways, and the atmosphere. And finally, we have ODNI-NIM. That's Emerging and Disruptive Technology, Office of the Director of National Intelligence, National Incident Management System, which is part of FEMA, or the Federal Emergency Management Agency. Oh my God.
Wow.
Yeah, heavy stuff. But I just, in case you didn't know what those acronyms were, wanted to talk about that.
Yeah, no, it's good. It's good.
Okay. So getting back to the report. Now we're in a section called Assumptions. Various forms of sensors that register UAP generally operate correctly and capture enough real data to allow initial assessments, but some UAP may be attributable to sensor anomalies. That's kind of interesting. So it's saying, yep, we have these high-tech sensors, but some things that are reported are UFOs may just be possible malfunctions of these sensors,
right,
or misidentification by these sensors.
Right, giving plausible other reasons and stuff. Yeah, got it.
Yeah.
Factors. Mm-hmm.
So now we're into a section called Executive Summary. The limited amount of high-quality reporting on unidentified aerial phenomena hampers our ability to draw firm conclusions about the nature or intent of UAP. The Unidentified Aerial Phenomenon Task Force considers a wide range of information on UAP described in U.S. military and intelligence community reporting. But because the reporting lacked sufficient specificity, ultimately recognized that a unique, tailored process was required to provide sufficient data for analysis of UAP events. As a result, the Unidentified Aerial Phenomenon Task Force concentrated its review on reports that occurred between 2004 and 2021, the majority of which are a result of this new tailored process to better capture UAP events through formalized reporting.
Wow. Okay.
Most of the UAP reported probably do represent physical objects, given that a majority of UAP were registered across multiple sensors to include radar, infrared, electro-optical, weapon seekers, and visual observations. So this is me now, right? So this is them saying what you're seeing in the sky, there's a great chance that it's not some just random atmospheric condition. This is a physical object.
Not a weather balloon, right?
Well, it's funny you mentioned.
Oh.
We're going to get into a weather balloon here in a moment.
Oh, okay. My bad.
No, it's okay. But what this is basically saying is that, yeah, it's not a cloud or it's not a shooting star. This is something that's physical. It is an object that is there because it's being picked up on these multiple sensors, radar, infrared, weapon-seeking technology. Mm-hmm. It's catching it. Therefore, it has to be physical. Okay, back to the report. In a limited number of incidents, UAP reportedly appeared to exhibit unusual flight characteristics. These observations could be the result of sensor errors or spoofing or observer misperception and require additional rigorous analysis. There are probably multiple types of UAP requiring different explanations based on the range of appearances and behaviors described in the available reporting. Our analysis of this data supports the construct that if and when individual UAP incidents are resolved, they will fall into one of 5 potential explanatory categories: airborne clutter, natural atmospheric phenomenon, U.S. government or U.S. industry developmental programs, foreign adversary systems, and a catch-all other bin. UAP clearly pose a safety of flight issue and may pose a challenge to U.S. national security. Safety concerns primarily center on aviators contending with an increasingly cluttered air domain. UAP would also represent a national security challenge if they are foreign adversary collection platforms or provide evidence a potential adversary has developed either a breakthrough or disruptive technology. So again, here's that breakthrough technology thing. Consistent consolidation of reports from across the federal government, standardized reporting, increased collection and analysis, and a streamlined process for screening all such reports against a broad range of relevant U.S. government data will allow for a more sophisticated analysis of UAP that is likely to deepen our understanding. Some of these steps are resource intensive and would require additional investment. Now, here's me stepping out. I think this paragraph I just read, this may be the most important result from this report, in my opinion. This is the U.S. government admitting that a better way to report on and collect data from sightings of UFOs or UAPs must be put into place. Like the quote, right? What I just read, quote that says, screening all such reports from a broad range of U.S. government data. That means there will be, or there should be, data sharing between different governmental departments. No more departmentalization like back in the 50s and 60s. Right?
No compartmentalization, no...
compartment. Thank you. I'm saying departmentalization. Compartmentalization, exactly.
Right. No, the separation of things within things, right?
Exactly.
Yeah. Like you're going to have to BCC all these people, right? And all your...
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
No more left hand not knowing what the right hand is doing, right?
Exactly.
Compartmentalization. Good. Thank you. So less or no secrecy.
Yes.
Right? It's fantastic. I love that idea.
It's great. I mean, I don't know if this is anywhere near this report, and I don't think I missed it earlier. Pretty sure. I wonder if any effort's going to be made as far as to going back to see what other programs or departments have found that they can then implement or utilize to help streamline this effort to notice these things better, find them better, identify them, the UAVs.
Yes. So I believe later in this report there is reference to cross-referencing basically historical data that was collected in the past. Yeah.
Good.
Yeah. Okay. Next section.
Yeah.
Available reporting largely inconclusive. Limited data leaves most UAP unexplained. Limited data and inconsistency in reporting are key challenges to evaluating UAP. No standardized reporting mechanism existed until the Navy established one in March 2019. The Air Force subsequently adopted that mechanism in November 2020, but it remains limited to U.S. government reporting. The UAPTF, or the Unidentified Aerial Phenomenon Task Force, regularly heard anecdotally during its research about other observations that occurred, but which were never captured in formal or informal reporting by these observers. After carefully considering this information, the Unidentified Aerial Phenomenon Task Force focused on reports that involved UAP largely witnessed firsthand by military aviators and that were collected from systems we consider to be reliable. These reports describe incidents that occurred between 2004 and 2021, with the majority coming in the last 2 years as the new reporting mechanism became better known to the military aviation community. We were able to identify one reported UAP with high confidence. In this case, we identified the object as a large, deflating balloon.
Oh.
The others remained unexplained. Pause right there, right?
Yeah.
Out of all these reports that they analyzed from 2004 to 2021, only one could be explained. The others are unexplainable.
Yeah, that's and what does that say? I mean, what do you think that means? Like it's like a weird shape. Is it because it's fluctuating, disappearing too much? Is it too blurry? What do you think is the case here of the other ones not being explained?
They are objects that are being witnessed by highly credible individuals, being caught on our most advanced detection systems, and we still can't tell you what the hell it is. Except for one, a balloon.
A deflated, you said, right?
Yeah, I guess they caught it visually as the balloon was deflating and falling to the earth.
Yeah.
That was able to be explained. Those systems were able to identify that this is, in fact, a balloon. Everything else, we have no idea.
Yeah.
That's a huge admittance, I think.
Yeah, that's there's something in it, in the way that they say it, that kind of implies a bigger thing. I see what you mean now about rereading the report that way.
Right.
I'm starting to really see it now. It's both cool and a little terrifying.
It's some ominous shit.
I mean, for you especially, right? I mean, you're.
Oh yeah, I hate this. I hate aliens and shit. It scares me to death.
Right. Okay. Wow.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. So I'll continue.
Yes.
144 reports originated from U.S. government sources. Of these, 80 reports involved observation with multiple sensors. Most reports described UAP as objects that interrupted pre-planned training or other military activity. Interesting.
Okay.
Now, UAP collection challenges. Sociocultural stigmas and sensor limitations remain obstacles to collecting data on UAP. Although some technical challenges, such as how to appropriately filter out radar clutter to ensure safety of flight for military and civilian aircraft, are long-standing in the aviation community, while others are unique to the UAP problem set. Narratives from aviators in the operational community and analysis from the military and intelligence community describe disparagement associated with observing UAP, reporting it, or attempting to discuss it with colleagues. Although the effects of these stigmas have lessened as senior members of the scientific, policy, military, and intelligence communities engage on the topic seriously in public, reputational risk may keep many observers silent, complicating scientific pursuit of this topic.
Yeah, it could fuck things up.
Right. Like I mentioned earlier, right? They might miss a promotion because they think they're fucking crazy.
It's like this is like it reminds me of like this government's version of being open-minded, or like the government's version of being aware of, like, how like it's like their version of like I don't know, something old-fashioned now would be like letting homosexuals be politicians. Like you don't have to keep it in the closet anymore. We can be more open about it today. Not as open still, granted, still, we're not there yet, but like still a lot better than it was before. It's like that. It's like they're inching towards like, no, pro UFO people, this is, you can come in. It's okay. The water's fine. We're not gonna hold it against you. We're not gonna, say that you can't come to our parties and shit. It's just so weird. It's like their version of what's prejudice, maybe, right? Of a group of people that exist, that we have social political stuff that we talk about in our world. I mean, it's like their version of it. It's like for UFOs, so specific, so niche, but yeah.
Yeah. This is the government saying it's okay to come out now and talk about it. We have a process for this now.
Yeah, I mean, it is cool overall. Yeah, I like it.
Cool. So I'm going to continue. And again, we're still talking about challenges to reporting of UAP phenomena. The sensors mounted on U.S. military platforms are typically designed to fulfill specific missions. As a result, those sensors are not generally suited for identifying UAP. Makes sense. Sensor vantage points and the number of sensors concurrently observing an object play substantial roles in distinguishing UAP from known objects and determining whether a UAP demonstrates breakthrough aerospace capabilities. Optical sensors have the benefit of providing some insight into relative size, shape, and structure of the UAP. Radio frequency sensors provide more accurate velocity and range information. So optical sensors, this is me talking, right? Optical sensors will help determine size, shape, and structure. Radio frequency sensors provide velocity and range information on these objects.
Okay. Wow. All right.
Next section. But some potential patterns do emerge. Although there was wide variability in the reports and the data set is currently too limited to allow for detailed trend or pattern analysis, there was some clustering of UAP observations regarding size, shape, and particularly propulsion. UAP sightings also tend to cluster around U.S. training and testing grounds, but we assess that this may result from a collection bias as a result of focused attention, greater numbers of latest generation sensors operating in those areas, unit expectations, and guidance to report anomalies.
So it's not so much that they're attracted to those places or wide open spaces or even places where we've tested violence or explosions. It's because that's where our focus is. So it makes sense that that makes sense.
It kind of does.
Yeah.
So everyone on these training exercises are already in high alert.
Yes.
They're scanning the skies. They're watching their sensors and you know, using the technology. So they're going to catch it.
Whereas someone in some forest somewhere, like a civilian, no technology to mark how fast it is, no photography, not alert in the sky, so they just notice like something small or something too fast or not enough of it. That makes sense.
Yeah. And I think that's another interesting point about this report is that it specifically addresses incursions over like restricted airspace or having to do with the military. This does not address, like you're talking about, that lone individual walking through a forest who sees a beam of light coming out of the goddamn forest and a UFO lifting out of the forest.
Right.
This is apparently covering that. Will they ultimately research those cases as well? Who knows? I mean, I think that's Project Blue Book. That's
a way down the road thing in the sense that like they would have to identify some of these things first, not only in pattern or in make and model, the make and model of the UAVs, but like they're gonna have to know a lot more on their end with what they can capture, and then investigate those other stories, those civilian stories, and then see what fits. That's the only way that makes sense that they would do it. If you want to talk about it as a straightforward investigative mindset.
So set the standard investigating the military sightings.
And then include that standard into these stories, into the civilian out.
Got it. So if the Unidentified Aerial Phenomenon Task Force goes out and investigates a civilian encounter, they could say, oh, by what you're describing, this was a UAP 101-3 encounter, right? Something like that.
We call it Garfield because they always name things really weird. They name things too technical and they say weird. And they also give weird nicknames to things. So I'm just,
That's funny. Yeah. Oh, I get it, though. That makes sense. It makes sense. Okay, continue on. And a handful of UAP appear to demonstrate advanced technology. In 18 incidents described in 21 reports, Observers reported unusual UAP movement patterns or flight characteristics. Some UAP appear to remain stationary in winds aloft, move against the wind, maneuver abruptly, or move at considerable speed without discernible means of propulsion. In a small number of cases, military aircraft systems processed radio frequency, RF energy, associated with UAP sightings. The Unidentified Aerial Phenomenon Task Force holds a small amount of data that appear to show UAP demonstrating acceleration or a degree of signature management. Additional rigorous analysis are necessary by multiple teams or groups of technical experts to determine the nature and validity of these data. We are conducting further analysis to determine if breakthrough technologies were demonstrated. UAP probably lack a single explanation. This is the next heading, next section. The UAP documented in this limited data set demonstrate an array of aerial behaviors, reinforcing the possibility that there are multiple types of UAP requiring different explanations. Our analysis of the data supports the construct that if and when individual UAP incidents are resolved, they will fall into one of 5 potential explanatory categories: airborne clutter, natural atmospheric phenomenon, U.S. government or industry-developed programs, foreign adversary systems, and a catch-all other bin. With the exception of the one instance where we determined with high confidence that the reported UAP was airborne clutter, specifically a deflating balloon, we currently lack sufficient information in our dataset to attribute incidents to specific explanations. Now the report goes in to kind of describe the different categories. Airborne clutter. These objects include birds, balloons, recreational unmanned aerial vehicles, UAVs, or think drones.
Drones, yeah.
Airborne debris like plastic bags that muddle a scene and affects an operator's ability to identify true targets, such as enemy aircraft. Then there's natural atmospheric phenomenon. Natural atmospheric phenomenon includes ice crystals, moisture, and thermal fluctuations that may register on some infrared radar systems. USG, or industry developmental programs. Some UAP observations could be attributed to developments in classified programs by U.S. entities. We were unable to confirm, however, that these systems accounted for any of the UAP reports we collected. Interesting. Foreign adversary systems. Some UAP may be technologies deployed by China, Russia, another nation, or a non-governmental entity. Other. Although most UAP described in our dataset probably remain unidentified due to limited data or challenges to collection process or analysis, we may require additional scientific knowledge to successfully collect on, analyze, and characterize some of them. We would group such objects in this category, the other category, the catch-all bin, pending scientific advances that allow us to better understand them. The UAPTF, Unidentified Aerial Phenomenon Task Force, intends to focus additional analysis on the small number of cases where a UAP appeared to display unusual flight characteristics or signature movement. Next section. UAP threaten flight safety and possibly national security. UAP pose a hazard to safety of flight and can pose a broader danger if some instances represent sophisticated collection against U.S. military activities by a foreign government or demonstrate a breakthrough aerospace technology by a potential adversary. So we want to make sure, me stepping out here, right? We want to make sure that Russia, China, or some other rogue government hasn't somehow broken through things we could normally do as a human race, right?
Right, yeah, keeping their tech in check.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
Right. It's like it reminds me of Iron Man, how he in the Marvel movies, of course, Iron Man would he promised or supposedly in the movies that his technology to make the Iron Man suit is like best case scenario is 10 years away from any other country in developing or being able to
right,
to, be able to make that technology possible. Like he was 10 years ahead of everyone, at least.
Yeah.
And stuff like that. That was pretty, I don't know, I kind of reminds me of that. Like they're checking up on that.
Yeah, can't have anyone outperform us or outdo us in this space, right?
Yeah. And spend more money.
Yeah, right. Oh, definitely. This is going to require more funding for sure.
Sure, yeah.
Okay, next section, ongoing airspace concerns. When aviators encounter safety hazards, they are required to report these concerns. Depending on the location, volume, and behavior of hazards during incursions on ranges, pilots may cease their tests and or training and land the aircraft, which has a deterrent effect on reporting. The UAPTF has 11 reports of documented instances in which pilots reported near misses with the UAP. That's terrifying.
Wow.
Potential national security challenges. We currently lack data to indicate any UAP are part of a foreign collection program or indicative of a major technological advancement by a potential adversary. We continue to monitor for evidence of such programs, given the counterintelligence challenge they would pose, particularly as some UAP have been detected near military facilities or by aircraft carrying the U.S. government's most advanced sensor systems. Next section. Explaining UAP will require analytic, collection, and resource investment. Here it comes. Here's where they ask for the money.
Yeah.
Standardize the reporting, consolidate the data, and deepen the analysis. In line with the provisions of Senate Report 116-233, accompanying the FY21, the IAA for FY21, the UAPTF's long-term goal is to widen the scope of its work to include additional UAP events documented by a broader swath of U.S. government personnel and technical systems in its analysis. As the data set increases, the UAPTF's ability to employ data analytics to detect trends will also improve. The initial focus will be to employ artificial intelligence, machine learning algorithms to cluster and recognize similarities and patterns in features of the data points. As the database accumulates information from known aerial objects such as weather balloons, high altitude or super pressure balloons, and wildlife, machine learning could add efficiency by pre-assessing UAP reports to see if those records match similar events already in the database. The UAPTF has begun to develop interagency analytical and processing workflows to ensure both collection and analysis will be well-informed and coordinated. The majority of UAP data is from U.S. Navy reporting, but efforts are underway to standardize incident reporting across U.S. military services and other government agencies to ensure all relevant data is captured with respect to particular incidents and any U.S. activities that might be relevant. The UAPTF is currently working to acquire additional reporting, including from the U.S. Air Force, and has begun receiving data from the Federal Aviation Administration, FAA. Although United States Air Force data collection has been limited historically, the U.S. Air Force began a 6-month pilot program in November of 2020 to collect in the most likely areas to encounter UAP and is evaluating how to normalize future collection, reporting, and analysis across the entire Air Force. The FAA captures data related to UAP during the normal course of managing air traffic operations. The FAA generally ingests this data when pilots and other airspace users report unusual or unexpected events to the FAA's Air Traffic Organization. In addition, the FAA continuously monitors its systems for anomalies, generating additional information that may be of use to the UAPTF. The FAA is able to isolate data of interest to the UAPTF and make it available. The FAA has a robust and effective outreach program that could help the UAPTF reach members of the aviation community to highlight the importance of reporting UAP.
Wow.
Acronyms. Next section, expand collection. The Unidentified Aerial Phenomena Task Force is looking for novel ways to increase collection of UAP cluster areas when U.S. forces are not present as a way to baseline standard, quote unquote standard UAP activity and mitigate the collection bias in the data set. One proposal is to use advanced algorithms to search historical data captured and stored by radar. The UAPTF also plans to update its current interagency UAP collection strategy in order to bring to bear relevant collection platforms and methods from the DoD, Department of Defense, and the IC, intelligence communities. Did you want to say?
Yeah, I did. I don't know if this was the end of that little part.
It is of that part.
Okay,
yes.
Cool. Yeah, this is so far I think my favorite little part, or the most interesting, because opening it up to like find patterns and to find ways to detect these things better. I think it's going to bring on, I mean, if it works, half as good, as it should. I think it'll bring on a lot of people, maybe some crazy kooks, a lot of people to invent new ways. That there's going to be some rock stars coming out of this probably within the next half lifetime of people figuring out and, doing, I'm not saying DIY things, but like inventing these methods of, I don't want to say trapping, but like catching these things with all that data and stuff and figuring out patterns and even probably guessing and predicting where they'll be, or like figuring out what kind of like from this data, propulsion systems. Like I can see a lot of people like really like getting their hands dirty on like,
I think you're right.
You know what I'm saying? Like, come on. It's going to be like the doomsday prepper version of like trying to detect and find aliens.
Well, it sure sounds to me like this is a call for help. We need help developing the technology.
Right. It reminds me of some of the characters we mentioned in past shows, like that astronaut dude that used to own the ranch. Not the astronaut.
Robert Bigelow.
Bigelow, right? Like
Bigelow Aerospace.
Like that guy is big into this stuff, and obviously he's focusing more on the business side of NASA and stuff. But very much, it's totally up his alley. Inventing something for it.
Dude, that's a great point. I mean, just look at Bezos. Look at Tesla.
Yeah.
Look at all these big, endless funds, right? Endless pockets.
Yeah.
Who could get involved and develop some really rad technology.
And they're clearly interested in it. All he's got to do is come up with an idea when they invent the technology or whatever it is, or retrofit it, and then you just got to find the place to do it. And that's what all the low-level grunts, not the low-level, but the non-rich people who are interested, maybe more so probably, will find out the best way to implement it. Like that's just what you need. Or like that one weirdo, I forget who it was. I really forget the name. Sorry. It's Area 51 related, who was arrested at some point because the cops were constantly on his tail sniffing him out, and he was like, he had like weird sciences in his backyard. He lived somewhere in the desert. I don't remember his name.
Well, one name that kind of fits in what you're talking about is Bob Lazar.
Bob Lazar is a good one. Yeah, that's another one.
Or even Richard Branson, right? I mean, that fucking crazy trillionaire, whatever he is, you know, I could see him getting involved too. I mean, it's a call for help. Yeah, for sure. I think I'm coming to the end here. Section here is called Increase Investment in Research and Development. The UAPTF has indicated that additional funding for research and development could further the future studies of this topic laid out in this report. Such investments should be guided by a UAP collection strategy, UAP R&D technical roadmap, and a UAP program plan. So there's your call for additional funding, right?
Right.
And that is the end of the report. The last few pages are appendix, right? I don't know. Definition of key terms. I mean, if you guys download this, you could read the appendix yourself. But I mean, that is the report, Oscar.
And you said that something was excluded from this report, that they didn't, what was the thing again? I remember you mentioned something that they didn't add in for this at the top, maybe. I don't remember anymore. Sorry.
I don't remember either. Okay. I apologize.
No, it's okay.
Something that was excluded.
Something that was excluded.
Oh, I think that's when we were talking about the unidentified aerial threat section of that relief bill. It said that the report that is due after the 180 days, the report that was due should be non-classified, but it could have a classified annex or a classified section.
What is that? Oh, so okay, so they can always. So ideally, they could maybe as a loophole, like release like 5% of it, and then keep 95% classified.
Yeah, or I'm feeling like a classified annex could be footnotes or appendix maybe that could be classified.
Right.
That's kind of how I take it.
Got it. Okay. I was curious about that. Very cool.
But, going back and rereading this a number of times, yeah, there is a lot of stuff in this report that's just mind-blowing.
So it's what really is, what's becoming more, I guess, mind-boggling is that it's like reality is always more disappointing than the conspiracy sexiness, right? Because a lot of people were treating this and have been, they still are, I guess, treating it like it's nothing, like it's not enough, like it's like, what did they even release? People are disappointed. And like you yourself said, like I was, I mean, not that I read it at all, but like, I mean, I was feeling it from people, telling me that. I'm like, oh, really? It wasn't that much? That sucks. But reading it a few times and figuring out for what it means, the impact of what they're saying, the implications of what they're saying, them being, this being an actual release document, all that stuff from the government. It actually opens up a lot more, especially when you take in all of the stuff that's happened over the last few decades and all the stuff that people denied about or that people were made fun of for saying, like it makes them more realistic. And I think that ultimately it's a government document. It's a classified government document. It reads like shit. And
this actually isn't classified, right? This is an unclassified document.
Oh, right. Declassified. Sorry, I meant to say that. It's out there, but it's a government document, and it reads like boring shit. It doesn't make, it reads like stereo instructions. And a lot of people are just not seeing what they wanted, and it's just like the unsexiest reveal of something major of all time, like I think it says a lot more. It really, what it does is that it's not saying here's every single answer you could possibly imagine based on what we've ever collected or what our top experts have said to us. No, it's not that. It's not names and dates and which, if that Hill family really did experience those things in the mountains. It's not about that. It's about like saying like, here, the door is open. Now we're going to see what we can find.
Perfect.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah. We acknowledge this is happening.
Yeah.
We have seen it. We have observed it. We have registered it on our advanced systems. We can't explain it except for one. Right. And yeah, that it's explosive in that this is an actual government officially released to the public document. I mean, the link I left in the show notes to download this report for yourself and read it for yourself, it's downloaded. I'm taking you to the Office of the Director of National Intelligence website. It's right there.
Yeah.
You don't have to go on the Black Vault or some, crazy website to get this, or you don't know if it's real or not. Yeah. This is from the Office of the Director of National Intelligence website. It's amazing.
And the good thing about this, as far as people who are disappointed are going to be disappointed, that's fine. But also, like, the great thing about it is that people who are into this stuff, who are very much obsessed, not obsessed because it sounds like bad, but like, they're much more into it than we are or are able to do something about it. They want to do something about it. They will read this for what we're saying it is, and some of them will take action. They will try to take action. They will make groups. They will make communities out of it. They will make stuff out of it. They will hopefully keep it alive. Technology. I would love for them to keep it alive, is my point, and keep the interest going. And I hope, and my only fear is that this fizzles out in some fashion, and I hope it doesn't.
I likewise. I want to know how I join the Unidentified Aerial Phenomenon Task Force. Sign me up.
Sign me up, right? I'll fucking, what do you want me to print forms for you? Sure.
Right, yeah.
I'll do whatever. Papers. I'll do grunt work. I'll bring you coffee. You want some coffee? Want a macchiato?
I will tap dance that motherfucker to you. Yeah, absolutely. Right. I want part of this.
Yes.
And I'm terrified of this shit.
And you're terrified.
I'm intrigued.
Yeah. Yes.
And it's reading a report like that, it's very difficult to read that out loud. It's such sterile language.
Yeah, I know. I had to really like focus because I'm just not used to that kind of stuff. I'm not used to I'm not, I don't know.
Right.
It's like when I go to a courtroom, I'm like, what the fuck are you guys talking about?
Yeah, you're saying so many things without telling me anything.
You try to read the simplest law, it's fucking unreadable.
It is. It's difficult.
Yeah.
Which is another reason why I wanted to make sure and put the link here for people to download it and read themselves, But I'm really glad you pushed me to do this because I learned a lot and I'm even more mystified than I was before.
It is cool. It kind of makes me want to do another alien case or something. We've done a bunch, but we should. There's never enough. My point.
Agreed.
Never enough. Yeah. Excellent.
So, listeners, there you have it. I hope you enjoyed. I hope you learned something.
Yeah, I hope we really gave you the sense of this is bigger than it looks, and it's potentially even greater than that.
Well said.
Mm-hmm.
Well said. This stuff is real, folks.
Mm-hmm.
And on that note, Oscar, would you take us home on a UAP?
Yes, right now.
Sweet. Cool.
I also wrote down apparently you made me one of the times when I recorded at your house, you made me a UV blue and orange Fanta thing that I really liked.
Yeah.
I haven't had it since that day. And so I wrote down those two ingredients.
It's so funny you mentioned that UV blue.
Yeah.
So we're going down to Florida.
Yeah.
Our cousins moved to Florida. We're going to spend 2 days by their house. And this conversation literally just happened today. They're like, we cannot find that drink here, that alcohol here in Florida. Could you please pick it up for us before you come down? So Katie's going out searching for it today. It's just funny you bring that up because we're funny. Literally.
Yeah, life is funny that way.
Weird.
In there.
Well, if you ever get around to it, you want to share that TikTok video, the first one, with me, where she at the end reveals who she is. Mm-hmm. I would love to see it.
Yeah.
Cool. Hold on one second. Let me turn around and close my door here.
That's a creaky ass fucking door.
I got everyone upstairs waiting for me to be done here.
And we haven't even started.
I know.
Typical us.
I just got a text from Katie. I can't take a shower.
I know, because she's waiting for you?
Yeah, because the way the pipes are situated, a lot of them run in the wall between my office and the bathroom down here. Mm-hmm. So you hear everything. You hear toilet flushes. You hear the shower from my office.
That's funny.
So if she turns it on, the mic will pick it up.
That's funny. That's very, that's very intrusive. Tell her to live in dirt for a while.
I know, right?